Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I am the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ film festival. This is our 37th year, and we have some amazing films this year. As always, we have a lot of great short films and some amazing local shorts as well. I'm so happy for this block of films right now, and I'm so happy for the filmmakers who are here. Thanks for sharing it, and I cannot wait to showcase your films and have audiences see those. So, again, thank you for doing this. We're going to go around the Zoom room and let you all introduce yourselves, talk a little bit about your film. Why don't we start with Order for Ben?
Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Plant. I'm a queer trans mask person who has up until now just been an actor, but am now apparently a writer and a co-director and co-producer. So Order for Ben is my first short that I wrote last year, and I teamed up with Christina Arjona, who couldn't be here tonight, but she sends her love. Uh, and we crowdfunded and co-produced and co-directed, and I played the lead role as well, and shot last year in Atlanta, and uh, out on film is going to be our world premiere. It's about yeah, it's about a young trans man who has a really joyful, great life with his partner and their dog, and is living his life. And his dad sort of unexpectedly pops back in after them being estranged for quite a while, and they, over the course of a year, uh, try to reconnect and rekindle and find what their new relationship is as father and son, and they do it over coffee. So, Order for Ben.
Great. Take note.
Hello, my name is Sierra Thompson. I am the writer and director of Take Note. Take Note was a short that I wrote when I was really down and I just wanted to put something on that was going to make me smile and make my friends smile as well. I've always been a fan of romance and seeing queer love stories brought to the screen. And that's what really catapulted my whole writing journey. And so Take Note is not only a love letter to our community, but to the educators who were consistently having their rights or what they can and can't teach challenged. And so Take Note follows a middle school science teacher who goes into class each day and is met by one of her students who's holding a note in their hand and leaving it on another girl's desk. And after a while, uh, Miss Amato, our teacher, discovers that there's something brewing between these two girls. And when she confronts them about it, she learns that they're having challenges at home around communicating with their phones and all of these things. And that then forces Miss Amato to confront who she is and what she can bring to her class by being her authentic self. So it's been a real honor to have gotten to show our film. This is going to be our Atlanta and our Georgia premiere. So it means a lot that our crew, who is majority Atlanta based, we probably had a couple talent fly in, but otherwise it was all Atlanta crews. So a lot of them are going to be seeing it for the very first time. And I'm super excited about that. And yeah, that's us.
Nice. Let's move on to Queer Dystopian Short.
Okay, that's us. What was the question again?
Just introduce yourself and
Oh,
talk about your film.
I'm Ava Davis. I wrote it and I co-directed it along with,
Iona Layton. Hey.
and it came about last year. It was like one of my worst years ever. But this, again, like so many of us have said, this is a love letter to the queer community, and it came out of what was a really dark and depressing year, but the way that I was held by community. And I feel like that's really reflected in this story that Iona and I were able to tell.
Okay, great. All these leftovers.
This is Parker. I'm the writer and director of All These Leftovers. This is a part of a collection um, of short films that I'm working on called ATL, which affectionately stands for All These Lesbians. Um, this particular film, we see our main character who doesn't really care about romance that much. She has, been playing video games and eating leftovers instead of getting ready for her date. Her date leaves her and she stumbles into the bar super late, only to find an unexpected connection. And so, like this short celebrates like finding love and similarities in unexpected places, unexpected ways. And I really wanted to. I haven't seen many films where we get to see two like masculine presenting women loving each other. So we get to see that here, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, so I had a very small premiere, like a very short, intimate and small premiere. But this is, I think, officially, I would say, Atlanta premiere or the Georgia premiere. So super duper
Yeah,
excited for you
yeah.
guys.
And 9 lives.
Hey, my name is Millie Evans. I am the writer and director of 9 Lives. It is my writer and directing debut, but I've been acting for about 10 years now, about 5 professionally, whatever that means, actually. And so, yeah, similarly to what I'm hearing from some of you guys, is just that there's writing and beautiful creation that comes from a dark place in your life. And that's very similar to what my experience was with 9 Lives, trying to pick up the pen in a time where I was like, I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to start writing. And it's 9 Lives is a dark comedy. So I think that laughter is extremely healing, and trying to bond sentimentality and humor in a way that is not cheesy but really authentic to the sacred bond that queerness can bring in the healing process, whether it's from a loss or just a struggle in your life, which is essentially what 9 Lives is about. These two people meeting in an unexpected place, coincidentally, similar to what you were saying, Parker, but having grief in different ways and going together and uniting in an unexpected way through the loss of a cat named Beans that is in their trunk of our character June's car that needs to that she wasn't really ready to deal with, and runs into my character Clara, and spontaneously they decide to go on this adventure to bury Beans, but it's really to bury their grief and their doubts and their sadness and their insecurity. So yeah, that's 9 Lives. This will be a regional premiere. It's Atlanta premiere.
Yay, very exciting. Can all of you talk a little bit about Atlanta as a filming location? And we'll go in the same order. We'll start with Order for Ben.
Sure. So we filmed in Atlanta, and the majority of our cast and crew are from Atlanta. I am not from Atlanta. I live in North Carolina. So this was really, I hadn't spent much time in Atlanta until we started working on this film and shooting there, and I was just blown away by how tight knit this film community is, and how many people were willing to give of their time and their talent and their energy to help make Order for Ben happen, and just how much it felt like family after only knowing these people for a few weeks, and how incredible they were, and even just the locations that we used, how willing certain communities were to just let us use their spaces, and everyone was so proud to be a part of this community that is Atlanta film, and how much of part of the city of Atlanta it really is. So as a first endeavor into the Atlanta film world, it's been incredible.
Great. Okay. Take note.
Sweet. Well, firstly, I'm from North Carolina, so that's very cool. But I now live in Atlanta full time. And I was similarly just, it felt like luck, but now the longer I've been here, I know that the Atlanta community is just that strong. And when there's a good story, people will rally around it to get it made. And that's very much what happened with Take Note. We had a crowdfunding campaign that we did, and a lot of our donors came right from Atlanta, where we had like a crowdfunding party and had a lot of people come and join and like support the film. And it was always like a friend of a friend of a friend who got us this location, who got us this actor, who got us this and that. We filmed in a school, a real working school for 2 whole days. They let us have it, no charge. Was unheard of, and I'm so grateful to this day. But when you're telling these powerful stories, we're in a community where people want to see you achieve that goal, and I think that's what I've loved the most about being in Atlanta is you're not really competing with people. You're seeing where you can step in to support and when you can ask for support yourself. And I think it's an area where creatives really pride themselves on showing up for one another. And I think that's one of my favorite things about being here. It's just getting to show up for others because there's some super talented people here. But then to also know that there's no shame in asking for help or for referrals or all of that to make sure you have the right people on set, because we all know that's so important too. So just being able to dip into the community and ask and receive and support has been really eye-opening. So yeah, there's nowhere else I would have wanted to film Take Note. And I also think that our stories are especially important in the South, and that we tell our stories about the South and made in the South as well. So yeah, the long and short is I love being a filmmaker here in Atlanta.
Nice. Queer dystopian short.
Iona, do you want to take that
Oh,
one?
sure. Just to build on what Ava had shared before, this was her love note to Atlanta and the queer community here, the queer dystopian short. So everyone involved with the project, with the exception of our composer, correct me if I'm wrong, Ava, was here in Atlanta in front of and behind the camera. Also, the majority of cast and crew were queer. The majority were gender expansive. We had, it was a love note to the community as a whole. And I couldn't have imagined filming it anywhere else because of how specific Ava's script was, that it had to be here. And she even used the two locations, the major locations we used were her home and business. And then we also used some outdoor space here in Atlanta as well, so for some flashback scenes. So very much love note to our community here. And it was really amazing to be able to give opportunities to fellow queer artists, and to see so many gender expansive folks on a set was amazing. We were all like, oh my gosh, are we all, how did this happen? Of course it happened because of Ava and I, we were consciously like making these choices, but it was an exciting experience on set.
Great.
Yeah.
All these leftovers.
Yeah, I just want to echo what everyone else has said. Like, the word that keeps coming up is community. I've been working on like this collection of shorts since I moved here, because I was just kind of blown away by the queer community here in Atlanta. And in just talking to people about it, like there were so many people who encouraged, like, just do it. What do you need? Like, I know people, I'll help, I'll volunteer. I've never been on a set before, but I'll volunteer. And I think that giving me this is my real first stab at filmmaking. And I think that it just really gave me the energy that I needed and the confidence to really pursue this. I think Atlanta is a magical place for sure. We filmed at Hip and Hop's Brewery, which is the first Black-owned brewery here in Georgia. So that felt really special and really significant that I was able to have their logo on things, and it just felt like really magical. And it's something that I hope that I can continue to do work here, and that it's like a mutually beneficial relationship. Like, I feel like as much as I am giving to the community, I feel like the community pours and fills my cup the same way. So it was an incredible experience, and much more to come.
Great. 9 lives.
Wow. This has been really beautiful hearing everyone's love letter to Atlanta and to the community. And it's interesting because I do feel that our film community here is so strong, but even stronger than that, and this is saying a lot. I do feel that it has been so much of the queer community that has really helped my filmmaking. And there hasn't felt like that kind of a competitive air or ego that I've seen and felt in my other film experiences. It's been really removed from that, and it's been really incredible. And I think that a huge part of that has to do with how much queerness we have in Atlanta and the people of Atlanta. Um, Nine Lives was filmed like primarily, we used my apartment, and then we actually, for the scene where I'm getting fired at a vegan restaurant, we did actually film that at a vegan restaurant. Shout out Real Health World, it's a Black owned business. And it's it's interesting because yeah, we didn't have really a way of compensating them, except I was like, I'll make you a commercial. I'll edit it myself, like on my own time, like if like please. And they were like, that sounds awesome. And it was just, this exchange of that kind of community love. And then the rest was very much just like, I'm just gonna be so honest, like stealing shots, like and just independent film, like at its best, just like running into the woods, like, okay, is there a car coming? All right, let's go. Like, just, and I think that's a really beautiful, a beautiful rush, a beautiful feeling, that comes with independent filmmaking. Nine Lives does not take place really anywhere. It's a very fantastical world that they live in, and I think actually that is a compliment to Atlanta's versatility and why a lot of people like to come and film in Georgia and in Atlanta, because it can be anything. It can be anywhere. So that's kind of the other side of it. But yeah.
Great. Okay, final question. Can you talk about the importance of queer representation? Again, we'll start with the order for Ben.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the reasons that I actually wrote Order for Ben was because I wasn't seeing a lot of trans men in relationships with men in film and TV. And that was actually one of the reasons that it took me so long to figure out who I was because as a teenager and a young adult, all that I saw on YouTube and in the media was trans men who were in relationships with women. And it never clicked for me that I could be that, but because I was always attracted to men. And I wanted to make something that could help fill that gap and to maybe be that representation that I didn't have as a young person for somebody else who's in the process of figuring themselves out. So I, as part of queer representation, is sort of like a really granular idea that is sort of the impetus behind Order for Ben being what it is, and Ben being in this queer relationship with a man is because I want there to be that representation that I didn't have, and I want, basically it's a love letter for my younger self and for all young trans kids out there. And I think having that kind of representation is such a vital thing, especially right now, especially when young queer people are being essentially attacked from all sides, and just using media and queer representation in media to sort of rally behind and to support and let young queer kids know that there is hope and there is life beyond all of the hatred and the bigotry and oppression, and that there are beautiful, queer, lovely things happening in the world, and then they can be a part of it.
Take note.
Yeah, so why queer representation is so important. Firstly, I think what's so incredible about our community and about LGBTQ folks is that we're all very free. All of us live very authentically, and we know ourselves in a way that not everyone has had the privilege to get to know themselves. And I think it's one of the best ways to be alive, whether you are queer or whether you're living a more heteronormative lifestyle. It's important to see people find out how to live authentically despite what our systems and our norms are. And so what I think is so important about representation, one, of course, seeing yourself on the screen is so, so important. It's life-changing. It's one of the reasons why I got into filmmaking. But I also think about all the folks who are allies or who will become allies or who are looking to understand their children better, or looking to understand their brothers or their sisters better. And I think our representation on screen is not only for ourselves, but for the world as a whole, to understand the way we live our lives and the freedom that we've come to find, and that is not exclusive to us. It can transcend from our community to everyone's individual lives, and the way you step into work or the way you show up for your friends. I think we've figured out a lot of things in our community, and it's up to us to share that with the world and to invite folks in and invite change. And I think we invite change by being bravely ourselves, and it encourages others to do the same.
Okay, great. Queer dystopian short.
Take it, Ava.
Okay. Representation, queer representation especially. I founded my production company because I wasn't seeing a lot of roles for Black trans women. And I hear that echoed a lot with the other actors turned filmmakers of not seeing someone with their similar story. And at the end of the day, it's needed exactly for the reason that Sierra was saying. We need to know like that things are possible, especially like for a queer youth. When I was growing up, I didn't realize that being trans was an option until I saw it on TV. And it's like, she's fabulous. She's amazing. I can have that life too. And so we need more of those stories to complete a course of what queer life looks like, so that not only those growing up know like it's not one singular thing, you create your own path, but also, again, like Sierra was saying, so that allies know more about our community. We learn so much about others by watching media. And so that representation is important, so that we're making sure that everyone feels seen and heard, so that just in case someone is watching, they can go, oh my God, I see me too.
Okay. All these leftovers.
Yes, again, echoing everything that has been said already. I think a lot of times, when we talk about like queer representation, we'll hear the argument of like, well, there's this queer character, it's like this one character that mentions that she has a girlfriend or that he has a boyfriend or whatever, but it doesn't really show, I think, how expansive we are. So I think that there can never be enough queer representation. Like, I love Out on Film. I love these queer festivals that are like encouraging people to continue to make these stories, because we don't want to be tokenized, and we're all so vastly different. So I think it's important because, like many people on the call have touched on already, we all have different experiences, and it takes your story that you write to, touch that one person in a way that makes them feel heard and seen and understood. And show that we are not a monolith. We're not monolithic. We are expansive people. So I think that there just can never be enough. There's always different arguments floating around there about why it's important, but like the core of it is there's never going to be enough. And I hope that, people are inspired to just keep creating.
Okay. And 9 lives.
I 100% made 9 lives for my inner child who did not at all experience lesbian representation growing up in the 90s. I mean, it was very rare. And when it was there, it was really stereotypical, kind of like for the male gaze, like femme presenting, pretty much like just straight women pretending to be gay. And so butch representation and mask representation is something that I'm really passionate about. And that's because that's how I identify, but that's because there's just like a massive need for it. And it like still now, like it's not, despite all of the progress, it's still like really, really rare. And so that's something that I'm extremely passionate about, and bringing as much awareness to that. But also, I and I don't know. I'll be the first to say that I'm not sure exactly where this stems from within me. If it's to try to assimilate, or if it really is to try to kind of break down barriers. But I feel the need to, with my story 9 lives, no, I didn't want to make the narrative specifically and explicitly about being gay. I didn't even want the characters to say I'm gay. I just wanted them to live this story and be themselves. And it's just inherently queer. Like when you watch it, it's just very obviously that. And I think that it's really, really powerful. And I think stories that are obviously queer can be said aloud. It can be about that. And it cannot be about that and be just as powerful because queerness is just there and they're just existing and they're living. And it's a story. That's that, you know. So that's what Nine Lives is. And that's not to say that I wouldn't love to make a story that is about being gay. I think that would be really beautiful too. That's just I just wanted this story to just be about their lives, and they just happen to be gay.
Great. Okay. All righty. The program is local shorts playing an out on film Thursday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Midtown Arts Cinema, and then following up online. Is an extraordinary program. I'm so happy that we get to share this. Thank you to all of our filmmakers here for sharing their films, and thank you for talking to us tonight. I cannot wait for the screening. Thank you all. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jim. Thanks.
Yeah.